All right, so there are many people saying that they don't think this could happen, that mass deportation could actually happen, that Trump could actually do this. I'm going to play you this clip. I'm going to come back and explain it with some historical context, as well as providing you with essentially updates in terms of information of what's in their plan. Watch.
San Antonio Police very aptly named their law enforcement effort Operation Aurora, because Aurora was the one that was first and got all that publicity. Announcing today that upon taking office, we will have an Operation Aurora at the federal level to expedite the removals of these savage gangs. And I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. We will send elite squads of ICE, Border Patrol, and federal law enforcement officers to hunt down, arrest, and deport every last illegal alien gang member until there is not a single one left in this country. And if they come back into our country, they will be told it is an automatic 10-year sentence in jail with no possibility of parole. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer.
Okay, so let's break this down for a second, because when we talk about Operation Aurora, this has led to more than 300 empty apartments being searched and essentially suspected of having Venezuelan gang members in it. There are people who have been arrested, but really nothing has come out of that in terms of fruition, because it's just really all just based off of hearsay, and the operation holds no ground. In Texas, there is a law called, I believe it's SB 8 or SB 4, that essentially allows for police to essentially interrogate or question if someone is an actual legal migrant of the United States, to ask them for their papers or their citizenship status in the United States. That is something that was passed here in Texas for in terms of interrogation. But if you look at the Alien Enemies Act, I'm going to read this to you. It's quite jarring for people who do not think they're affected by Trump's mass deportation plan, which he plans to enact. It reads here, quote, "The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 is a wartime authority that allows the president to detain or deport the natives and citizens of an enemy nation. The law permits the president to target these immigrants without a hearing and based only on their country of birth or citizenship." Listen up, listen up. Although the law was enacted to prevent foreign espionage and sabotage in wartime, it can be and has been wielded against immigrants who have done nothing wrong. Who have done nothing wrong. Have evinced no signs of disloyalty and are lawfully present in the United States. It is an overbroad authority that may violate constitutional rights in wartime and is subject to abuse in peacetime. It's subject to abuse in peacetime. So there are lots of people contacting me like, this can't happen. The 14th Amendment is our constitutional right that protects our birthrights for citizens in the United States of America. Also, the denaturalization process doesn't apply unless you're an immigrant that has committed fraud on your application or if you committed a crime. That is not true. I mean, while that is true, and these are constitutionally protected rights, the United States has done this before in our history. In the 1940s, during World War II, when we were fighting Japan, which is the Axis power, President Franklin D. Roosevelt used this act, essentially, to go after Japanese citizens in this country. But not just Japanese citizens, also Japanese American citizens, including people who were born here in the United States, to put them in internment camps. Because we were fighting Japan. Who knows? We can't really trust the Japanese in here. They might be sending information to our enemies. It was absolutely racist and xenophobic. The United States also did this before in 1929 to 1936, the Mexican repatriation, where we essentially deported up to 2 million Mexican Americans and Mexican citizens because they were taking away real jobs from real Americans. Where have we heard that language before? I mean, if you look at what Trump said in that speech, he talks about illegal immigrants all the way up until the end. And then he says any migrant. Any migrant. Will this include the Asian migrants that Trump has blamed COVID on? Will this include the Muslim migrants that during Trump's first term there was a travel ban on for Muslims coming into the United States of America? First order of business in 2017 when he was inaugurated president of the United States. Will this include illegal Mexican citizens? who Trump has already claimed that, they are rapists. When Mexico's sending their people, they're sending the worst. If you are a legal U.S. citizen in this country, by birthright citizenship or naturalization, or you believe that you are genuinely protected by the 14th Amendment, it is time to think again. Because with the real possibility that Donald Trump has won re-election as votes are still being counted, we have to contend with the fact here that we are looking at mass deportation on an insane level, not seen since the 1940s, not seen since the 1930s, not seen since the 1950s when President Dwight D. Eisenhower initiated Operation Wetback. Regardless of legal status, regardless if you were born here, what is rooted in racism and supremacy of what they believe is their country is the removal of any person that does not look like them. The removal of any person who does not speak the same language, who does not carry their same values, or their same hopes and beliefs in a system, in a country that they stole. So when we talk about mass deportation and not believing that it can happen, yes, it is unconstitutional, but this has been invoked before by multiple different presidents. Trump is just going all the way back to 1798 to give him the power to do whatever he wants. And let's be clear here. The President of the United States can invoke this act. Who's going to stop him? Especially with democracy weakened from his first term, a Republican-controlled Senate, potentially a Republican-controlled House, even if not a Republican-controlled House, the Supreme Court, a 6-3 majority, 6 conservatives on the court, 3 liberals. Do we really think the same court that essentially gave him the immunity ruling that said you're immune to do whatever you want as president, that overturned Roe v. Wade, essentially lessened EPA rights in this country, do we think that same Supreme Court is really going to be like, Trump, you're going too far? He's immune to do whatever he wants as president of the United States per the Supreme Court ruling in June of 2024. Be clear. He is coming. And this is going to be horrific for millions of Americans, including the people that did not vote for him. But this is a direct threat. This is a direct consequence of the people that did vote for him and those actions. This was known for a year. This was in the Project 2025 plan. Ignorance is not an excuse. Research is not illegal.